Hello, this is Jay Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. So first we have Happy Easter, God loves you. The libertarian position is that you should celebrate whatever holidays you want, though. I personally am not into all the woke stuff, but if people want to celebrate, I think they should be able to. And I posted, that was a Twitter post that I made, and I posted that, and my comment was my response to my state Libertarian Party when they said that Joe Biden was pushing transgender day visibility over Easter. I definitely do think he was kind of doing that. At least that's what the narrative seems to be. But that being said, if the government wants to push transgender day visibility, I think they should be able to. But that doesn't make the holiday any more legitimate. I would say, if people want to think that makes the holiday legitimate, they should be able to, but it's each person should be able to celebrate whatever holidays they want, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Next we have God created everything, herder from Manaconda413, and that's a tweet from Johnny Come Never, who tweeted, "May all you who feel you were born the wrong gender, may you get your dicks and titties and vaginas and rise like Jesus to the occasion. And when some dipshit says you can't do that because God's never wrong, remind them that's why he created transition procedures." And I guess I would agree with that. Ultimately, if you want to justify doing whatever you want to your own body, I think that you should be able to. And if you want to, I personally don't know if the technology's there yet, but maybe it will be there soon. But yeah, if you want to justify doing whatever you want to your own body, I think you should be able to justify that. Then we have VDare is unpopular with fashionable opinion, so almost everyone is too cowardly to come to its defense when Letitia James hounded it into preneuery from Tom Woods on Twitter, and I posted that and I said, "It's VDare today, and need to send it all tomorrow. If we don't support free speech for those we despise, we don't support it at all." And I personally don't think people are saying, "Oh, it's VDare. It's just for using nonprofit funds for the wrong reason." But the New York AG wouldn't go after the Clinton Foundation for doing the exact same stuff. So that's always important to remember as well. I think we need to support VDare and their right to free speech, even if that's not exactly the reason they're going after them. But it's still important to support free speech, even if it's for people who disagree with, or if they're going after, or if they try for censorship through other means. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Next we have Argentina unveiled mandatory registry for Bitcoin and crypto platforms from Forbes.com by Ninja Lover, and I said, I personally don't think there should be mandatory anything. I personally would disagree with Malay on that front. I think it's okay to disagree with people even if you agree with most of their other positions, though, and that's my thought on that issue. Then we have Arrest Me. J.K. Rowling challenges Scotland's new hate crime law, sarcastically urging followers to respect lovely Scottish lass convicted double rapist Isla Bryson's pronouns and fragile flower sex attacker Katie Dolotowski in excoriating blast from Daily Mail. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised if she was arrested by the end of the month. It's okay to not like her, but the libertarian position is that you shouldn't want people to be arrested in prison for just saying words. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Havana Syndrome linked to Russian intelligence report from DW, and I posted that, and I said, there is no such thing as Havana Syndrome in my opinion. It's just another thing to blame Russia on, maybe drum up some sympathy and support for the CIA as well. The next we have, we live in a country where a huge percentage of the population would rather see children sterilized than see them in a MAGA cap, from Michael Malice on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, progressive, kids need to express themselves. What if kids want to express themselves in a way that seems right of center? Progressive, not like that, Ultimately, if people should be able to justify whatever medical procedures they want to, I think. But, ultimately, I personally think, it's interesting how, people want their ideology pressed on the young, and they're being increasingly open about that, especially the progressives, I would say, because they seemingly want all the kids to be transgender. And, I personally think, if some kids want to be transgender, I think that's okay. But, I personally don't think they can consent to the surgeries and hormones. But that's just my thoughts on the issues. Ultimately, people will justify as they justify, and sometimes you have to cope with it if they ended up regretting it later. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have video shows California police fatally shooting teenager who was reported kidnapped from Geeky Username, and that's a cross post from the Bad Cop No Donut subreddit. And yeah, I definitely don't think that's good. Ultimately, the police. That's why I don't think you should trust the police, because they can use legal force on you at any second, even if you're a kidnapping victim. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Who Switched the Frogs from Patom13, and that's a cross post from the Behind the Bastards subreddit, and it's which was a comic with Alex Jones. It says, "Cut. That's a wrap for today." And then Alex is talking to the frog. He says, "Everything okay, babe?" And the frog is telling we have to hide who we are. And yeah, I think that's interesting. I think if people do want to think the water's turned the frogs gay, I think they should be able to. I think Alex Jones recently tweeted, "I'll eat your leftist ass." Maybe the water's turned him gay as well. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have 6 myths about globalization, trade, jobs, and buy American from John Stossel on YouTube, and I posted that. And I said, I always look forward to Tuesday mornings when Stossel uploads. I definitely think, global trade is only going to benefit the world as more and more labor markets become open and available for labor to make products for as few as possible, and that's my thought on that issue. Then we have World Central Kitchen halts operations in Gaza after strike kills staff, and yeah, I definitely don't think that's good. That was funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars, which definitely isn't good. And I also added the U.S. government operates on logic of it's not bad when we or an ally do it, but if an enemy nation does it, it's the worst thing ever. Ultimately, if Israel was any other country, I think the U.S. probably would have declared war on them by now, or at very least supplied aid to the people fighting them like they're doing for Ukraine. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Texas takes intellectually disabled inmate off death row from reason, and I posted that, and I said, I guess Trump and Biden are immune from capital punishment going off that precedent. I personally have always been against capital punishment, but if any people in the U.S. deserve it, it's the higher ups in the U.S. government. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Watch. Climate advisor of the United Nations says white men are to blame for climate change, and to save our planet we must protect black trans women from breaking 911 on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, I like how the decidedly non-white countries of China and India are the world's largest polluters, but she can't acknowledge that because it would go against her Paul narratives. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Calgary judge rules woman can proceed with maid despite dad's pleas. Calgary from globalnews.ca by Narco Federation. And yeah, I said I personally am against it, especially since he seems to be completely healthy outside of having autism and ADHD. But as a libertarian, I don't want to tell other people what they can and can't do with their own bodies. Then we have U.S. military veteran refuses to pay fine over Hamas sign at South Yorkshire protest from independent.co.uk by Frosty Slawman, and I definitely don't think that's good. I personally don't think you should be supporting Hamas groups, terrorist groups like Hamas, but if you wanna, I think you should be able to, and that's my thoughts on that issue. As long as they're not being violent, as I think, if you want to support them non-violently, have a sign here, I think that's okay. I personally don't think that's good, but I don't think you should be flying the Nazi flag here, but I don't think it should be illegal to fly the Nazi flag, but that's my thoughts. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the Scottish hate crime bill from Jonathan Pye on YouTube, and that's by Frosty Slawman, and I said, good video, Big Brother says trans rights. That's pretty much what the new Scottish hate crime bill is. I'm fine with trans people, I just don't like the government using trans rights as a pretext for authoritarianism like they're doing here, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have a new hate crime law in Scotland causes widespread concern from Economist.com, a crosspost posted by Lemon Line Light, a crosspost from the Civil Liberties subreddit, and I said, Big Brother says trans rights. This is another example of the Scotland hate crime bill that they're going to use to arrest anyone who dissents at all. They can arrest you for stuff you say in private, even if it's just in your own house. They might be still able to arrest you if someone hears it. And that's how bad it is. I would say, we don't want to justify having the state being able to arrest anyone for whatever reason they want to, and that's increasingly what this new bill gives the government the power to do. And that's my thoughts there. And we have gonna find new ways to track you from Chad Muffin. And that's a crossword from the Damn That's Interesting subreddit. In some areas of China, when you go to a toilet, it only gives up toilet paper after scanning your face and identifying you. Otherwise, you must bring your own paper. And I think, that's not good. We shouldn't be justifying that, I think, you should. I would probably just bring my own paper in that case. But, ultimately, they probably are. You're probably scanned and your data's tracked probably countless times already. So, this is just a more open example of that, I would say, So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have former Trump National Security Advisor. I do assign responsibility for January 6th to Trump. On top of that, even worse, he said the Constitution should be suspended. This is so far out of bounds that I think almost anyone alone that statement is disqualifying for Trump. And that's from Clorox and Crossroads from the Interesting as Fuck subreddit. And I said, fuck Trump, but John Bolton is definitely no friend of liberty either. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Hillary Rodham Clinton on the importance of voting in her Broadway show Suffs, extended from Late Night Show, to be found on YouTube, and that's from Doctor Who 07. And I said, the best thing the HRC could do for the Dems is to lock herself in her basement and never come out. She gets everything wrong with that party. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the creator of Silk Road 2.0 got 13 days in jail and faced only tax evasion fines. Life in prison is insane, and no, he didn't hire anyone to kill anyone. That was completely thrown out of court with no evidence from Spike Cohen on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, free Ross Ulbricht. And I think, Ross Ulbricht, Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, they're all people who I think, shouldn't be being attacked by the government, but who constantly are. And, increasingly, I think a lot of it used to be for those guys, and now they're more against them as because Trump leaned them more on the establishment titty, I would say. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump always gets compared to Hitler, but a lot of people on the left treat him more like Jason Voorhees than Hitler, and I posted that. As a tweet I made, I posted that, and I said, ultimately I don't like Trump, but, ultimately, you just can't believe that he's going to be up behind every corner constantly out to get you. That's pretty much all the government. Pretty much every government can fit that description, not just Trump, but people only seem to care when Trump fits that description. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And then finally we have Trump's bond filling bungled. Court rejects mission date due to missing. Financial statement from DailyBoulder.com by Swamp Yankee Dan. And I didn't comment on that one, but I definitely do think, I definitely don't think, they'll ever get him because, I think he simply has too much social capital right now, and that's my thoughts on that issue. And I think we're going to wrap up there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.